What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked In Sports Podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me for our first MLB 2025 season weekend recap is Luis Barranco. Luis, how's it going?
What's up, man? This is what we call 0.5 week. That's how I put it in our fantasy baseball group chat this weekend. It is 0.5 weekend. What a weekend it's been, from PED bus, torpedo bats, home runs. I just feel like everything that could go wrong went possibly wrong in baseball this weekend, like storyline wise.
I think it reminds
Yeah.
you. It reminded me very quickly that there's so much that goes on in this sport when the games are actually happening. There are so many storylines to follow. There are so many games to follow. We have so much to talk about in our first episode, and there's only been, I think outside of the Cubs and the Dodgers, the most the team has played is 4 games. There's so much to talk about. You mentioned the torpedo bats. We got a PED bust. We got rookies or young prospects that are struggling, that had a lot of hype heading into the season. We got old guys pitching. We got old guys getting hurt. We got guys, young guys getting extensions potentially. We got tons of injured list stints already, unfortunately. We got teams scoring 20 runs in games. I mean, there's so much to talk about. I'm excited for this podcast. Really looking forward to it. This is honestly one of my favorite ones of the episode. I enjoyed, or favorite ones of the year. I enjoyed doing the previews. But as you know, we did 31 in 31 days. Those can be a grind, especially some of the teams that maybe aren't as good. But here we actually get to talk about games that have happened. So I'm excited.
No, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think this weekend there was a lot. I got to watch a lot of ball this weekend. It was a great weekend to watch ball. I had plans this weekend, but I planned around baseball. So, like, I made sure my plans were very early. So I had plans Saturday morning. I made sure they were like from 9 to 2, so I could have the whole afternoon to watch baseball at home. And then yesterday I just sat like a couch potato, ran in the morning, got my miles in, and then I was like, all right, we're going to watch ball for the whole night. So, yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, a lot to talk about, a lot of things I got to see and watch this weekend. I mean, how much did you watch this weekend? Let's just start off with that. Who did you get to watch this weekend before we deep dive? Like, we won't go into detail of what we saw yet, but like, who did you get to watch this weekend?
Obviously, watch the Yankees. Watch the Yankees in depth. Watch every game. So we'll definitely start there. I also caught a little bit of the Rays series against the Rockies on that walk-off on, was it Thursday or Friday? I think it was Friday they opened it up, actually. Yeah, that was exciting. I watched the Red Sox Rangers series a bit, which we have some interesting takeaways from that one. Watched a bit of the Tigers Dodgers series, which was fascinating. Again, we got some things to talk about there. Was able to watch a little bit of the Cubs. Unfortunately, I don't have Marquee, but found other ways to watch a little bit of that series. And those were
my things. I have my things with Marquee, but that's for
and then one series that I wish I was able to watch that I didn't really get to was A's Seattle. So I don't know if you have anything to add there. But that one seemed a little interesting. I avoided Guardians Royals, unfortunately. There was a key takeaway from that one. A couple injury things, but looks like it's going to be okay. But yeah, those are obviously focused on the Yankees primarily, and that's for the listeners. That's kind of how we're going to structure the podcast this year: is Yankees up front, recap the series, recap the week, etc., and then we'll go dive into the rest of the league, some key news and notes, some takeaways from the other games that we've been watching around Major League Baseball. So if you're not interested in the Yankees, you can skip ahead. I'm going to try my best to do timestamps. I can't guarantee you that every single episode is going to have timestamps, but again, going to try my best there. But yeah, I'm curious. Who'd you watch? You were texting me a lot. We were obviously texting back and forth as we always do about baseball. Where were you tuned in?
Yeah, so for me, I tried to keep William wanted to get some takes today, but I try to keep my takes to a minimum today. I try to keep myself entertained, not texting baseball today, but I was able to see Seattle, Sacramento. I got to watch a little bit of that series. I watched the Saturday night Dodgers-Tigers game. I caught the Mets-Astros, a little bit of Braves-Padres. Braves-Padres last night, not much because it came on at White Lotus, and y'all know I'm a huge White Lotus fan. Like, best show on television, highly recommend. Definitely a show I would binge. Watched Twins Cardinals a little. I watched the Yankees a lot, and then I got to watch the Marlins in like detail. So I did put myself through Marlins baseball this weekend. Marlins Pirates.
I forgot Mets Astros. I did watch a little bit of that series too. Saturday night game was pretty good, and there were some interesting takeaways from that one too. But you want to start with the Yankees. You want to talk about the torpedo bat. You could call it a controversy. You could call it a storyline. The main talking point, certainly heading out of the first weekend of baseball, was these bats.
Well, I mean, it is the talk of baseball. The Yankees are scoring nuclear this weekend. I mean, the Yankees put up 20 runs on Saturday. It was craziness because Saturday I got home around, what time was it? I was out Saturday morning and I got home around 3:34. Game kicked off at no, I got home at 3:30. First pitch was like 110. Back me up on that.
Saturday, I think it
And
was 105 or so start for you.
yeah, by the time I got home, it was always like 15 runs already put up. And Max Fried was already like out. That was Saturday. And then yesterday, I watched the whole game. I missed the first inning, but I got to watch the whole game yesterday. They won 12-3. And then obviously we watched, it was the first game on Thursday where they won 4-2. But I think it all stems from Saturday's game with the torpedo bats, which was cued in by Michael Kay, which we talked about. It's the rage of baseball. It is the biggest controversy right now in the game. For some people, it isn't. For some people, it is. So essentially, the Yankees have been experimenting throughout the years, last year specifically, and they're using it now. They're using these torpedo bats, which the wood is shifted more to the barrel, towards the label, closer to the hitter's hands. And it's what I also read on Twitter, I forgot the name. I'm gonna have to look it up for you guys. Is that they're taking wood also away from the top of the bat, as you can see in the image right there, and they're shifting it more towards the barrel. So the whole logic of it is to one, increase barrel rates, because you want to increase the barrel because that's where you want to strike the ball. And if you can increase strikes of the ball and decrease the misses, you're going to get better results in theory. Sacrifice, because it's like, it's like equipment and it's like weaponry, like in war. Like, oh, you can have a great gun with lots of accuracy, but it doesn't have a great fire rate. So the thing with these torpedo bats is like, okay, you increase the barrel of the bat, but you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of exit velocity when it comes down to it. So it all started with Anthony Volpe, which he indicated to the Yankees analytic department that he hits the balls on the label of the bat rather than the barrel. So Volpe ordered his bats with more wood in that area, which is he's more likely to hit with the ball. Jazz tried it. Bellinger tried it last year in Chicago with the Cubs, so it's not something new to teams. And then Paul Goldschmidt and Austin Wells have started using these bats, which we've seen during spring training and last season. All started from Aaron Lenhart, who is a former Yankee analyst. He was from MIT. Now he is with the Marlins, and he had a 10-minute interview tonight before the game at Lone Depot Park. He had a huge amount of people. I don't know if you've seen on Twitter. And, I think the quote of the weekend, and which I'll talk about later, comes from Pat Murphy. It ain't the wand, it the magician. So, William, what do you think about these torpedo bats? A lot of players have been starting to use it. We saw it today with Alec Boehm using it in Philadelphia. Ryan Jeffries used it yesterday in the Minnesota game versus the Cardinals. I know they're saying that orders of these bats has gone through the roof, and it usually takes 4 weeks to get them in, the custom ordered bats. I don't think that's true, because I feel like if you're a professional and you need something for your tool, you will find one. Somebody will find a bat and get it hand delivered to the park if you have enough money. Yeah. But William, what do you think about this whole thing?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's about time, honestly, that we've seen some innovation from the hitter side of things. I feel like there's so much technology and research and data and optimizations behind the pitching side of things. And of course, hitters are working in that respect too, but we haven't seen it as much. And, you know, we've gotten to a point where hitters are at such a disadvantage compared to pitchers in the sport. So right now, you know, the average, the batting average across Major League Baseball last season was the seventh lowest batting average of all time at 243. So pitchers have an advantage. I think it's good that hitters are, you could say, fighting back. I think this is a really smart thing to do. You know, I don't necessarily I saw someone tweeted out like the guy's a genius. Like, I mean, did we really think like why, you know, part of me is like, why did we take so long to figure out, hey, you're hitting the ball more toward the label. Let's shift some of the wood down there to help you with your contact. Like, yeah, it makes pretty good sense. Obviously, I didn't think of the idea, but it just part of me is like, why didn't some of the smart people think of this before? So I think it's good for the hitters. Obviously, I think pitchers will ultimately adapt in some sense and adjust to these bats. It's a cat and mouse game, baseball. To the fans that are freaking out, you know, saying, "Hey, this is illegal," you know, the Yankees are cheating, blah blah blah. First of all, it's not just the Yankees. You mentioned Ryan Jeffers. We saw Alec Boehm today. I've seen the Orioles dabble with them. Junior Caminero was using them, using one yesterday for the Rays. Like it's legal. MLB came out and said it's legal. Other teams are using them. Teams across baseball are gonna start using these things. It's gonna become the norm. Part of me wonders if the Yankees scored 4, 5, 3 runs, you know, this weekend and not 20 and not 12, you know, is it getting this much buzz? You know, no one was talking about this Friday or Thursday after opening day. It's just because the Yankees went nuclear over the weekend against the Brewers that people started talking about it. And then you see the Brewers today give up what 10, 11 runs against the Royals. Hey, maybe the Brewers just can't pitch.
Well, going to your point about optimization, about like hitter optimization, I think you can give me some knowledge because you're more of a hitter. You have experience playing the game. I'm coming from a different perspective, more of a fan perspective. You've seen in the past. I know Paul Goldschmidt and I think Mookie Betts have these interesting bat handles where you have the normal bat handle and then you have the oval handles and then you have the one that's an axe handle and then there's the no handle bats that it's everybody uses a different type of bat handle. So it's kind of like Mookie Betts and Paul Goldschmidt were two guys in continuous MVP races. Why didn't people get on about the handles?
It's a good point. Yeah, I mean that the axe handles were big when I was in high school. I personally didn't like the bats. I think, you know, the logic there was it's going to help you square the ball up more. I again, I didn't like using those axe bats. They were super popular. I think University of Memphis, at least when I was in high school, they used those full time for their players. Obviously, you got guys in the major leagues. I don't know if Mookie still uses one of those. I'd have to look, but yeah, and you know,
bowling pin too, like a little huge round one. Like I know Goldschmidt has a really interesting bat handle. I've seen it because I've watched Cardinals games, and I know, you know, if we had Alden on the podcast, and that he could probably say, you know, what type of bat handle. But I know he's one of the interesting ones too.
Yeah, and you got Jeff McNeil, who like I don't even think his bat has a handle. He kind of just uses like a slab. So, you know, hitters have been trying different things with the handle. We haven't really seen optimizations toward the barrel. I think it's interesting. It's in the rules. It's not illegal. Like no one's cheating here. If this was the Brewers, no one would be talking about it. I just think the Yankees had a really good weekend. It was also unseasonably warm in New York over the weekend, which we all know the Yankees hit better in warm weather. They tend to struggle in the cold weather. Maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe the Brewers just can't pitch. Like I said, the Yankees aren't going to hit 15 home runs in a weekend every single series. Like it's just not going to happen. So let's see what happens in the coming weeks. You know, let's see how many teams start using these things. I think it feels like a super big deal right now, but ultimately I think it's all going to level out. It's not going to be that much of an advantage. But hey, if it helps guys like Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe hit, I'm all for it because those guys are going to have big seasons for the Yankees this year if they want to have success, you know, in the division and then into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, and for me, Last night I was watching the third inning of the Padres Braves game, and they made a good point on the telecast. They were talking to Manny Machado, asking him about, yo, how has the game changed? Because Manny Machado has been like, in the past 15, 20 years, we've seen the game change from a more, old head perspective, old school perspective, to this new wave of analytics, sabermetrics. And he made the point, like, yeah, back in the day, I had to memorize things. Now I have cards in my pants where I can read where the hitter likes to hit, what he likes to do, and it's the game has completely changed. And I don't doubt like there's some bat or some glove in some R&D or some lab or some analytics department of some major league team that they're experimenting to find that edge that's legal. So I mean, this whole bat thing that they're making a huge big thing, like anybody can do it. Like, you're just mad that they put up 20 runs and they went nuclear. And I mean, and if you want to get real mad, I mean, hey, if you really want to blame a bigger issue, blame the issue about the Yankees ballpark on how, right field is a little league. Like, you can pull a ball to right field like Jazz did yesterday. You can make the same, argument with Houston with the Crawford boxes, or Petco Park, which is ridiculously hard to hit a home run in. Like those huge ballparks. Like, you want to be mad? Maybe MLB should just level the playing field and be like, hey, it should be 400 everywhere. But no, that's never going to happen. It takes away from the game. And I disagree with it because it's going to take away from what makes baseball baseball. And that's every single park is different. It has each nuance. Like, you have the Monster and the Triangle in Boston and Fenway. And then in Houston and at Dakin Park, aka Minute Maid Park, back in the day, you had the hill in center field, if you remember that way back. So, and I'll reiterate what Pat Murphy said, the manager of the Brewers. It ain't the wand, it's the magician. And Aaron Judge, the one guy that went nuclear, doesn't even use the bat. Like,
yeah, Judge said, what I've done in the past couple of seasons speaks for itself when asked about it. So I agree. There's no reason for him to fix what's not broken.
You know what it is? It's kind of reminds me, like, growing up. Like, you ever remember when, like, especially with us, and you're a marketing guy, when we were growing up, we don't see it now because media, the way we consume media is way different than 15, 20 years ago. But I remember there used to be the Nike ads with the basketball shoes, with the Wades and the LeBrons and the Kobes and the Jordans. I feel like everybody wanted a pair of Jordans. And like growing up, I remember I wanted to wear the Dwayne Wade Converse because, like, oh yeah, Dwayne Wade wears those shoes, I'm going to be able to play like Dwayne Wade. But that's not the case. That's the same case with the bats. Just because you have a bat is not going to make you a 300 level hitter hitting 40 nukes. So
yeah, and I think we're gonna see it. We're gonna see it level out. I'm curious to see what the Yankees look like this week. But yeah, I think that's a good point.
They got a big series with Arizona, but like we've talked about these torpedo bats, like everybody's gonna complain about them for the next couple weeks. But it was unseasonably warm. Thursday the wind was blowing, and you had that Austin Wells Little League home run, which is one home run in one ballpark. Like, it's gonna happen. Let's talk about what
can I just say.
Yankees. Yeah.
Before we get into the rest of the Yankees, just one final point. I do think, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but baseball is never been more of a pitcher sport, at least in the modern era, the 21st century. Pitchers have such an advantage that I think we need to be open to every possible scenario or optimization on the hitting side of things that makes the sport more interesting from an offensive perspective. Because what fans go to the ballpark for, what fans tune in for, is home runs, stolen bases, and ball and play action. So if this gives baseball that much more, or a little bit fraction of a increase in watchability, viewability from the offensive side of things, I'm all for it. It's legal. MLB approved it. I think this is a good thing. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to be like, the batting average is going to jump from 241 to 270 because of these bats. Like it's not going to have that big of a difference. The Yankees were just an outlier, but I am all for it. I think we need to have some more optimizations on the hitting side of things.
There's too many variables that need to be examined.
Yeah.
Right now, we say is it the bat? Is it the Brewers pitching? Or is it that the Yankees are just good? We need more experimentation. And as we're going to sound like analytics guys, we need more data. We need more data. We've only been through 3 games this whole season. And again, if it was that big of an unfair advantage, like MLB would not allow it.
Right.
It's already been used and dabbled with, that I think it's here to stay. And, find the best weapon.
Yeah, and do we really think the Yankees would this brazenly cheat with an illegal bat? Like, come on.
Do you think that the Yankees would be the only team that to develop this? I bet you there's so many teams that develop. It's like back when a couple years ago when we were doing the Astros were using spider tack and they were using these substances, and then it just got so out of hand. If this gets out of hand with the bat things, it's gonna stop.
Oh yeah.
I guarantee you right now, somebody's in the lab cooking up a torpedo bat that is going to increase exit velo. Because if you get both increased barrel rate and exit velo, that is just going to get something out of hand.
Why did they have to call it that torpedo bat? I feel like that's a little bit too aggressive, making it more likely to get banned from Major League Baseball. They should have called it something a little more tame. But torpedo bat feels like, okay, this thing's pretty lethal.
Hey. That's what I'm saying. That's good. That's a good, think about it. You're a marketing guy. If you were to make a headline, what sounds better, bowling pin bat or torpedo bat? Think about it. What would sell more on the shelves of Dick's Sporting Goods? What would sell more on Louisville Slugger.com?
Sell more torpedo bat because it sounds sick, but from trying to keep it legal yeah, that sounds sick. But from trying to keeping it legal from a Major League Baseball perspective, from a youth baseball perspective, I would have rethought of what we're gonna do with the name. I don't know. Maybe do I don't know, label heavy bat or something. And do you see Jazz? He was very active on Twitter today. Jazz Chisholm. He was very adamant. Yeah, Portnoy was all pissed off. But he was
yeah.
Of course he was mad. But Jazz was saying that it's not actually going into the label, it's just moving away from the top of the bat. I don't know. Jazz had a great weekend. And obviously he knows more about baseball than I do. So, and he obviously knows more about these bats than I do because he's using one. But I thought he was pretty interesting on Twitter today. Anyway, you want to get to the rest of the Yankees?
Let me just say final point before we wrap it up. Do you think this is good publicity for the game, having this sort of scandal to start the year for viewership and getting people into the game, into the season? Because I know a lot of people really don't tune in till after the All-Star break. But is it good to get this publicity early to get people onto the game? In your opinion?
I think it is good because it's not overwhelmingly negative. I think it's an interesting new wrinkle that's been introduced to the sport that maybe people from a more casual fan perspective will tune in. Maybe some more people will tune into this podcast because they want to hear us talk about the torpedo bats. Whereas the past few seasons, last year we had the Ohtani scandal, which was not positive for Major League Baseball. In 2022, we had the lockout, which was a horrible start for the season. So I would much rather something like this that's on-field related, not necessarily overwhelmingly negative. I'd rather be talking about this than some scandal or a lockout.
Yeah. Good point. But now let's talk about the Yankees. I mean, what a weekend. Weekend sweep. William, I'll let you take it away. I'm not going to get too big into the chat. I'll give my points after you do. What do you think about this weekend so far as a fan?
Yeah, obviously it's not going to get any better from a start perspective. Just absolutely dominating the kind of lowly Brewers, who lost again today, lost big in their home opener, 4-2 on Thursday, 20-9 on Saturday, and then 12-3 on Sunday. The talk of the town was the offense, which I feel like we talked about, but getting really good production from guys like Jazz, Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe. I think those guys are going to make or break your season. Also had some good production from Ben Rice, who hit a home run on Sunday. Aaron Judge, who's on your fantasy team, 4 home runs in 3 games. Clap it up. Great week for him. He can hit when it's 50 plus degrees. Dude's prime Barry Bonds. When it's sub 50, maybe a little bit different. But Judge was great. Pitching was okay. I thought the bullpen was strong outside of Devin Williams struggling on Thursday, which was a bit of a concern, but it was against his former team. So we'll see how he comes along. Opening day jitters, stuff like that. The starters were okay. Carlos Rodon was kind of the classic Carlos Rodon start. He was fine on opening day. The final line, I'll just pull it up. Rodon went 5 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts, which was great, and then 2 walks against a weak Brewers lineup, I think, unfortunately for them. Max Fried was okay. Again, his curveball is pretty loopy, which worries me a little bit. Again, like there wasn't much stress put on these starting pitchers because the offense was so good. I thought Stroman was solid on Sunday. He waffled late, but he was strike one all day. I think he had 13. His first 13 batters, he started them with a strike, which is huge. The difference in batting average and hitting statistics from 0-1 to 1-0 is absolutely drastic. So getting that first pitch strike as a pitcher is huge, and he did a good job of that. And the pen was lights out. And you have some notes about Jazz Chisholm being an absolute beast since coming over to the Yankees. He was great this weekend. Yeah. Like I said, belly fitting in well, and Goldschmidt also. I mean, positives all around, not many negatives really from this series.
I mean, I just some of my thoughts was for me was that Jazz Chisholm was great, and Jazz Chisholm, I think something that's gone over people's head. He's been a top 10 player. I sent you the statistic on Twitter if you want to pull it up. He's been a top 10 player since the All-Star game, and especially at second base. I thought he was great defensively too. He made a lot of good plays at second. Go ahead.
I have the stat, yeah. Since being traded to the Yankees, Jazz Chisholm in 49 games, 879 OPS, 148 WRC plus, 14 home runs, 18 stolen bases, and a 2.7 WAR. It's legit numbers. Legit. It's only 50 games, but still.
That's a good sample size. And now he's back at his natural position, as we've talked about before. I thought the pen did great. Tim Hill had a good showing. Mark Leiter Jr. pitched pretty well this weekend, I'd say, like that. I think Cody Bellinger is going to be a guy that you guys are going to love by midseason. I think we're going to ask ourselves, like, wow, how did the Yankees get him at this discounted rate? I think it's going to be more of a worrisome problem is how are you going to be able to afford him next year if he keeps playing the way he plays.
And on Bellinger, the trade, Cody Poteet was included, and I'm pretty sure he already got DFA'd by the Cubs.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he got traded to the Orioles, I want to say, recently, or the Angels, one of those two. And I just think one of the biggest concerns of the weekend was Jason Dominguez. He didn't look that great out and left defensively. I know he's a working project, and I kind of feel like the Yankees are going to give him a long leash and let him just learn on the job. But I think it's kind of concerning that, late in games that Dominguez was getting pulled for defensive purposes. You got to let him go through these growing pains. And I know it was great that you guys won on Thursday because of Trent Grisham making that play with his hat, saving that ball. But I kind of feel like you're going to have to learn somehow. You can't, you're going to have to throw the kid in the deep end and tell him, hey, swim, don't drown at some point.
Yeah. And it's a tough situation, I think, for him in his career because he's 22. Ideally, you don't want to put him in the DH spot already and limit him because he does have talent. He's fast, but if he's just not a good defensive left fielder, which, it's not the most important position on the field, but it's still an important position. And if you're having to sub him out late in games for a defensive swap, that's concerning. Now, he hasn't hit, 1 for 8 to start the season with a 489 OPS. Like, it's only 8 at bats. It's extremely small sample size. I don't like to start making judgments on dudes' seasons until they get to 50 to 100 at bats. Usually around, I don't know exactly how it works out, but by mid-May, I kind of have a feeling of how you're going to do this season. So he's got a long way to go. I hope he, still gets some run, but and he will. But yeah, the defense isn't there, and that's a concern.
He is a switch hitter too. That's
Yeah,
the
he
other
is a
thing.
switch hitter, which helps. I think to the defensive point, like one thing that did concern me about the Yankees this weekend was the errors on Saturday. 5 errors was not great. That's not what you want. We thought they were going to be better defensively this year, and it's still early. But if that continues, that's frustrating.
Yeah, no, I just think that Dominguez is something that's something to keep track on. He is a switch hitter. You said it was great. I don't know, for a guy that's so young, I'd rather him just learn one side and be good, because it's 2 swings you got to get good at. You got to be
Yeah.
good from your right-handed side and good at the left-handed side. You rather get good on one side and then do that. I mean, that's the point. I mean, I don't know how good or how bad is the Brewers. So, hey,
Yeah.
Nestor Cortez was in World Series form. So,
Yeah, I mean, 3 pitches, 3 home runs to start the game on Saturday. That was crazy. I mean, I've never
that's
seen
tough.
that before.
That's tough. And think about it. Your last pitch was a home run in game 1. I mean, Tim Hill pitched great. And I just think Ben Rice, I know, didn't like the weekend on fire, but the way that he was hitting the ball and getting those exit velos, like, it's encouraging. So,
Yeah, he had a home run on Sunday. I think like I said in the preview, I think he's gonna be good for the Yankees this year. He switched his number to 22. So all those people that bought Juan Soto jerseys without the name on back, those jerseys are still relevant.
They got Ben Rice jerseys. Think
Yeah.
about it like that.
Yeah.
So,
Did you see
hey.
the dude on opening day with the Soto and then patched over said sellout?
Yeah, I saw that one. But
Can I say something on the Soto stuff before we wrap up with the Yankees?
Yeah. Hot take?
No, it's not a hot take, but I'm a little annoyed with the Yankee fans' obsession about Juan Soto heading into this season. With the guy with the jersey we mentioned, the chanting at the games, constantly talking about him. The Mets lose 1 game on opening day, and Yankee fans are commenting on the Juan Soto's post-game interview, saying he looks like he doesn't want to be there. He looks bad in that uniform. He looks depressed because he's on the Mets. Like, we're supposed to be the bigger team. We talk about being the big brother in the city. Like, if you truly are and you live that and you are the New York Yankees, stop talking about Juan Soto. It's over. Let's move on. Stop. Reporters need to stop asking him asking Yankees about questions. Reporters need to stop asking questions about Juan Soto to the Yankee players. Like, move on. We're the bigger brother. I'm a Michigan fan. I don't think about Michigan State, especially the football team. Basketball team, I wanted them to lose this weekend, but like, stop asking questions about Soto. Stop chanting his name in the stadium when we're not even playing the Mets. Like, when he comes back to New York, yeah, you can boo him all you want for sure. But now, like, let's just move on and stop talking about Juan Soto. Like, he's gonna play for the Mets. He's gonna do his thing. He's gonna hit home runs. He's gonna walk. He's a great player. Like, we don't need to trash the guy. We know he's a great player. We're upset that he didn't come back to our team, but it's okay. Like, let's move on. I feel like we got a decent team put together this season. Let's just enjoy the season and stop talking about Juan Soto.
Well, that's a perfect segue into news and notes of the weekend, what we saw in the rest of the weekend. So, without further ado, let's talk about the Mets. I actually got to watch a little bit of the Mets. So, in my opinion, they stink. I mean,
Wow.
it's their offense is abysmal. I mean, they're right now have 10 runs, but like
Against the Marlins.
I mean, it's the Marlins against Cal Quantrill, not Sandy Alcantara, who pitches tomorrow night. But man, that they struggled this whole weekend versus the Astros. And I mean, the Astros gave them all they can. It's not like the Astros are like world beaters. Like, you would think that the Mets would have struggled pitching, but like, in reality, Clay Holmes wasn't bad on Thursday. Like, yes, he did have command issues, but he didn't get dinged up. And they lost that game in a very tight one. So that's one. And then Saturday, again, they could have won Saturday night's game. We both watched that game and they lost.
No, they won. Oh yeah, sorry. They won on Friday and then lost they didn't play on Sunday for some reason.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they lost on Saturday 2-1.
Yeah. And so I mean, you'd expect that the offense would carry this team, but like Mark Vientos and all these guys who were supposed to be these world beaters. And like the run that they scored on Saturday night was a little league run with Jose Siri. That that it was just the bad play. I forgot who was pitching. I want to say it was Spencer Andretti, who was pitching.
Yeah, Arrighetti, it was him.
He made a great Fields' position, something that many teams don't know how to do. Fields' position, throws it to first, but he threw, like John Smoltz was saying on the telecast, threw it very nonchalantly, and Jose Siri made the heads-up play. But man, you'd expect the pitching, like I said, to be an issue, but it was the other way around.
And it's not like they were playing in cold weather. They were in a nice dome in Houston, roof closed.
Dakeem Park,
Dakeem Park. Only scored 1 run on Thursday, 3 on Friday, and 1 on Saturday to lose the series 2-1. It's early, the pitching was good, which was kind of surprising.
It was okay. It wasn't great and it wasn't good. It was above average.
Yeah. It was solid. It was solid. But yeah, they got to score runs. They're mostly without Francisco Alvarez, but Juan Soto's in that lineup. Pete Alonso's in that lineup. Francisco Lindor's in that lineup. Francisco Lindor, by the way, using the Torpedo bat. He went like 0 for 11 or something. He didn't have a hit on the series. So I don't know. I mean, it's early again. They're scoring some runs against the Marlins right now, but it is the Marlins. Give it time. Their schedule this month is pretty damn easy looking at it right now. So
don't disrespect the Marlins. The Marlins are in first place of the NL East. Stop the disrespect.
Not for long.
Whoa. Go with the schedule, and then we'll go into the NL East chat,
Do you want me to tell? Yeah, they play the Marlins for 3. Then they got Toronto back home against Miami, the A's, the Twins, the Cardinals, the Phillies, the Nationals, and then Arizona to wrap out the month. So more or less a pretty easy month for the Mets.
I don't think it's that easy, to be honest. The Toronto's pesky. The Cardinals are proven to be the best team in Major League Baseball right now, undefeated so far. Twins are bad so far.
Twins are, Joe's already sounding the alarm bells. I was texting him today because they lost to the
White Sox.
The White Sox, they got killed. Final score was what, 9-0?
They got 9-0. They were no hit till Willie Castro got on base with a little single.
And they got swept by the Cardinals over the weekend. Like Joe's already sounding the alarm bells. They're 0-4. It's super early, but interesting one there.
But yeah, let's talk NL East right now. Mainly with the NL East, I think, I'll talk about the Marlins. Sandy looks like he's back. Sandy looked really good in his first start. They found ways to win, played good defense. Xavier Edwards, Otto Lopez did a job. Can't name you many of the other players. I know Derek Hill is playing out there. They beat the Pirates all by walk-off.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sandy looked good. It's pretty much the only thing to say. And I think I think he'll be a guy that many teams will want at the deadline. That's what I think the Yankees should do. They should go and get Sandy because I think they're an ace away from – if they keep playing this way, I think they're an ace away.
If they keep scoring 20 runs a game, they are absolutely an ace away. Maybe not even need an ace. But, yeah, I think Sandy would be obviously a great addition for the Yankees. I think he's going to –
Did you watch the Thursday highlights or not?
I didn't watch really any of that Marlins-Pirates series, to be honest.
Yeah, it's concerning that the Pirates couldn't score runs, which is something that that we have to keep. They had good starts from all their guys. It's not like they got blown out in any of their games. It's very concerning that you can't put up runs against a Marlins team that isn't the best. 5-4, 4-3 on Friday they won, 5-4, and then 3-2. And a lot of these runs were scored in the extras, that the game just kept on going and going and going. So I think that's something of concern with the Pirates.
Yeah, we knew they weren't going to hit.
In the East, I know the Braves are concerning. They're 0-4. They play LA today. They already lost Jurickson Profar for PEDs. He tested positive for human chorionic, chronotropic, gonadotropic. See, HCG better not said. I can't. It's a huge tongue twister. I know what it is. I'm not going to give you the science lesson. Human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, mainly found in females in pregnancy. Tested positive for that. And then Reynaldo Lopez hit the IL with shoulder inflammation. Are we sounding off the alarms? I mean, Brian Snitker is already thinking about retirement after this year. I mean, Michael King had a horrendous start on Thursday. He should have been pinataed and kicked out of the game. So, what do you think? Is it time to blow some alarms? I mean, looks like Alex Verdugo is going to get some run out on the left now.
Yeah, that signing was key because obviously Profar got the PEDs. He's not going to be eligible for the playoffs. I read on MLB.com, which is a huge loss for the Braves. They just gave him, what was it, $60 million or so, $80 million?
3 year, 50, something like that.
Yeah.
Then he's out for 80 games.
That was their marquee signing. And, you still got Acuna banged up. The pitching staff, Fried's gone. Strider's banged up. They're playing 3 in LA against the Dodgers this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm going to tune into that game after we finish recording here while I'm editing. It's still super early, first game, but you don't want to start out 0-4, and I think starting out the season, West Coast road trip, coming out of spring training, they're on the East Coast. So they're, if you were in Arizona, maybe it'd be a little bit different, but they're flying from Florida to LA. I think that's a tough way to start the season. So I'm not going to make a full judgment on them, but the reason I went under on the Braves is because, they have so many injuries. I think they're going to lose some early, more so key injuries to key players. And now you're out Profar for 80 games. And left field was a huge spot for them to fill because you talked about it a lot in the preview. It's a position they haven't really had locked down in a while. Well, just got that much more confusing for them out there, and
it's like they're
they got the Dodgers. Yeah,
they're cursed out there. Now let me just ask you this: do you think that this 4-game set says more about the Padres, that the Padres are good, or that the Braves are bad?
Neither, because it's April. Like, if we're being honest,
but just what do you think? You gotta have
maybe more about the Braves, because I just don't think the Padres are going to be that good this year. Still,
I tend to disagree with you on that one. I think the Padres are good.
The whole story with them heading into the season is that they're going to be moving pieces. Obviously, they didn't do anything in spring training, but what makes me think that they're not going to do that? Like, I still think they're going to be wheeling and dealing a Rays, Dylan Cease. Sure, they have the talent to compete, but I think the Diamondbacks are the better team, even though they didn't have the best weekend to start the season.
I just think the offense is good. I think Fernando Tatis is going to play up to MVP form. Jackson Merrill's having an ascension. Not trying to be biased because he is on my fantasy team, but I think he is on an ascension right now. And Machado, he's going to give you good defense. And if that bat comes up and you get a little bit of Xander, I think you got something there. And that bullpen is just as good as the Yankees with Robert Suarez, Morejon, and they have a really good bullpen.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's early. I don't want to make any sweeping judgments from the first weekend of the season.
I think it's more of a concern losing Reynaldo Lopez for the Braves.
They have so many injuries,
but I think they're going to get healthy. And that's the thing that when we talk about with the Yankees is we don't know when those guys are coming back. With the Braves, you kind of had an idea when they were coming back. The Reynaldo Lopez thing doesn't help because then you're asking those young pitchers, Schwellenbach and Schwarber and whoever else is going to fill in. You're asking them to pitch more innings than they were supposed to. So that's just thin. But I just think the Padres are good. I tend to believe that because, like I said, that Thursday game, they had no business winning with that Michael King start. So,
yeah, he was bad.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the Padres be good because I want to see them play the Dodgers in the playoffs again. Those series are electric.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to the NL West this weekend. I think the NL West had a great weekend. You saw the Padres did well. The Giants, found a way to win the series versus the Reds because they did come back to they win the I think it was the Thursday game they won. Yeah, the Thursday game versus the Reds, which Hunter Green had an electric start, looking like Cy Young, and then they put in freaking Ian Jabot, and I have my opinions on Jabot, but Giants had a good weekend. Dodgers had a good weekend. Um, Diamondbacks had a good weekend. I think all in all, this division is going to be one of the premier divisions in baseball.
Yeah, it's definitely. And then, the Diamondbacks split 4 with the Cubs. The Cubs have some bullpen issues, maybe that we.
Bullpen issues. They literally were garbage yesterday. They literally blew they're so lucky not to have lost the Saturday game. That's Dansby Swanson is getting paid that money to make defensive plays. He saved the game on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they almost blew that one. Presley struggled. Was that on Saturday when they almost blew that one? Yeah, it's Saturday.
Yeah.
And then Eli Morgan was really bad on Sunday when they lost 10-6. I mean, Kyle Tucker was good. That's a takeaway. Dansby Swanson hit a home run in the series, but I don't know. It was the question mark for me for the Cubs heading into the season is they haven't really had that closer position locked down since Aroldis Chapman. It doesn't seem like they answered that question with Ryan Presley this year. And some of the guys leading up to him aren't great either. That's a concern. But to your point, like the NL West, yeah, it's going to be fine. Or it's going to be a good division. But you got the Rockies who are not great. You got the Giants who I think will just be fine. They're going to be around 81 and 81. And then maybe the Padres surprise me a little bit and contend. The Diamondbacks, I think, are going to be there. I mean, I picked them to win the World Series. And of course, the Dodgers are going to be there. They're undefeated, which we can talk about Roki Sasaki here in a bit. But yeah, honestly, from that Diamondbacks Cubs series, the more I took away was that, or my biggest takeaway from that series was Cubs need some help in the bullpen.
Can we talk about there's positions in baseball that are cursed? One of them being, said the Braves left field. Can we talk about Chicago Cubs closers? I think that's just one position that the Cubs can never get right, aside from the 3 months that they had Aroldis Chapman. Pedro Strop, Carlos Marmol, just blow up generals. just think about it.
Yeah, I'm looking here. So last year it was Hector Neris.
And he's not on the team anymore. That's what I'm saying. It's just talk about a position in sports that's cursed. Chicago Cubs closers.
Yeah, I mean, you had they list Ryan Dempster as a closer.
They had Ryan. They tried everything. The moral of the story is that it's just they've never had a shutdown specialist in a while.
Yeah, they had Kimbrel. Obviously, he wasn't great. The last guy that, according to Baseball Reference, the most common Cubs closer, the guy I guess that had the most saves, or the guy they used the most in consecutive years, because from 2016 onwards, it's a rotating cast of characters. Every single season it changes. But from 2014 to 2016 was one guy. Do you want to take a guess, or should I just say it?
Carlos Marmol?
Hector Arondon.
Would have never guessed that one.
Yeah.
I think about Pedro Strop and Carlos Marmol.
Pedro Strop was
I may be giving Cubs fans PTSD, but
he pitched 2013 to 2019 with the Cubs, was back there in 2021 as well. 13 saves in 2018, 10 saves in 2019.
Yeah, well, happens. But that's the Diamondbacks. I mean, we can talk about Roki now. I think I got to watch his start. I think there's clear concerns with him. Just mechanics are just all over the place. 2 pitches. If he doesn't have control of the fastball, he's not going to be able to get an effective splitter. The swings on his whiffs on his splitter, and that's a clear issue. Like the issues that he was having mechanically were really big. Like I don't know, man. I don't think he's ready. I think it's a very big concern.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The guy can't throw strikes right now. And if you can't throw strikes, you can't locate your best pitch, the splitter. I mean, I didn't watch the start on Saturday, but I watched the start against the Cubs in Tokyo. I mean, 5 walks in the first start, 4 walks in the second start. In the first start, he only went 3. On Saturday night, he went inning and 2/3. His walk rate right now is 17, which is not good. His K rate is 9. Guy, per 9 walks per 9 is 17. That's really bad. And then Ks per 9 is 9, which is fine, not great. Yeah, he can't throw strikes. I was watching Sports Center on Sunday morning, and Buster Only was on there talking about, or he was suggesting maybe they send him down to get some seasoning in the minor leagues, which is just a crazy thought to me because I understand. I think that's maybe a good idea, but this guy was hyped up as the next big thing, and there was the caveat of, hey, it's going to take some time, but I honestly didn't think it was going to be this bad. We talked about Yamamoto last year and his struggles early. He wasn't this bad.
No, the problem is, and I think Oral Hershiser said it best. I mean, if you're not locating, I mean, his pitch is a splitter. That's his pitch. If you're not locating your fastball down in the knees at the bottom of the zone, guys are just going to sit on splitter and not swing at it. They're just going to know it's going to come. And if you're not locating in the zone, they're just going to sit and let it go for balls. And, everything was all over the place. Like he was either his body was forward or like everything mechanically was wrong. Like I'm telling you right now, he only has 2 pitches. And if he doesn't develop a third pitch, another secondary, like he's very, very hittable. Like, yes, the fastball may be 98, but a lot of teams can hit 98-mile-an-hour fastballs.
98's not that impressive anymore.
Yeah, and then, he has a splitter. But, if you can, sit fastball and just let the splitter go, you're going to be okay. I think he needs to get sent down. I'll go. I was going to say that because he's just, not there yet. He needs to add some other pitch that will work with the fastball and splitter. Maybe a slider, maybe a sinker. That's for something for maybe you could say.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to survive as a 2-3 pitch merchant, not merchant, 2 to 3 pitch pitcher.
He's a splitter merchant. I'll say it. He's a splitter merchant. I'll go out and say it on this podcast. He's a splitter merchant.
He so far through 2 starts, he is definitely a splitter merchant, and it was what was hyped up heading in to Major League Baseball. You got to have more than 3 pitches at a major league level, because even if the splitter is elite, guys are going to figure out how to hit it at some point. When you're a starter, you can get away with it as a reliever, and I don't think they're going to move him into the bullpen. But hey, maybe if you want a high leverage reliever in his rookie season, you could get moved to the bullpen. That's not the long-term solution here with Sasaki. So I'm not opposed to getting some seasoning at the minor league level. We know the Dodgers have an abundance of talent in their rotation right now. Everyone's more or less healthy from the guys that were there in spring training, at least. The thing with the Dodgers is they can withstand bad starts from Roki Sasaki and still win the game. They beat Scooble on Friday or Thursday. And they swept the Tigers. So they're 5-0. They look great. Freddie Freeman hurt himself slipping into the shower today. I hope he's okay. Mookie Betts, thankfully he's playing again. They're a juggernaut. I mean, we know they're going to be there. But it is interesting to watch Sasaki because it is, one of the more interesting rookies this season to follow, if not the most interesting one, in my opinion.
I think, but I'm just saying it was bad. It was painfully bad on Saturday. I know you didn't watch the start, and I know you respect my baseball takes, but my opinion sometimes may be over exaggerated.
Yeah.
And I know you basically, but if you watch that start, everything was just wild. Will Smith got to work out.
Yeah, and I watched the Tokyo start, and it sounds like it was kind of more of the same, but worse.
It was worse. Like no fastball location, nothing. Like
Yeah.
Torkelson was just like guys were like waiting, like fighting off pitches to get something to hit, or just waiting to get walked. And so it doesn't get easier for him. He has the Phillies this week.
Oh boy.
So
Is that
yeah,
in LA or Philly?
I believe it is in LA, but still, Philadelphia is not the team you want to face.
It's in Philly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, he's going on Saturday at 3:00 versus Arizona. That's a good matchup.
He will be hitting my bench on fantasy baseball. Respectfully,
You're not gonna start him.
No, he's not done anything to prove it. He was awful. Like if you sit and watch his start, like Earl Hershiser, it gets when it. You know it's bad when like a guy like Earl Hershiser is literally saying like, you need to protect this guy, his confidence for the rest of the season. That's how bad it was. And they were already warming up somebody in the first inning. Like Dave Roberts had somebody up in the pen ready to go in the first inning.
He looked shook in the dugout after. Some people were saying he was crying. I don't think he was crying, but he was definitely very upset with the way that start went.
So
yeah, I feel kind of bad for him.
But I mean, it's learning curve. Talk about Devers, man. I mean, this is something that our fantasy baseball group chat has wanted to harp on. Mr. Devers, I mean, that was a very interesting series with the Red Sox Rangers. I mean, Kristen Campbell looks like a superstar, in my opinion. Like, I think he's like the next big thing. Like, looked very good. Very interesting to see that Devers has had this historically bad start. What do you think?
Yeah, 0 for 16 on the weekend with 12 strikeouts. First major league player on record to record a strikeout at least 12 times in the first 4 games of the season. He followed that up today in Baltimore with an 0 for 3 outing with 3 strikeouts. The Red Sox lost the series 3-1 to the Rangers, and then lost again today to the Orioles 8-5 in the Orioles home opener. Really tough start for Devers. I think there's a lot of outside noise on him right now heading into the season. There was a lot of pressure on him heading into spring training with the whole Bregman signing. You know, he's making that move from third base to DH, which people say DH is easy. It is challenging in the sense that you're sitting on the bench for, an hour or so in between at bats. And I know that point's been made before. I'm not breaking any ground with that, but I do think there is some validity to that. He's adjusting to that position. He's not obviously this bad of a hitter. Like, I ultimately think he will figure this thing out. He's just getting out to the worst possible start he could have. The Red Sox too. I mean, what are they, 1-4 so far to start the season? Tough start for them. It's still super early. But yeah, Devers, pressing.
I just think with the Red Sox, and like I said I think there's just a lot of moving parts. When you have Trevor Story not being an everyday player, when he's been an everyday player, he's sitting on your bench and you're using him as a pinch runner in the 9th inning. That's a big point for one. You also have to add to the fact, like you said, I was going to say, like, I think his rhythm's kind of off going from, being an everyday player on the field to like the DH, as you said. It's not groundbreaking. But like I said, they have a lot of young guys and a lot of moving pieces that, I think eventually it's going to work out. I just think it's like these are just the growing pains that you're just going to go through. Like yesterday, I watched the end of the Rangers-Red Sox game, and, it was a big at-bat, had a man on base. Devers could have put him in, and he worked a walk. I think that's the best thing what he could have done. If you can't put the ball in play and produce a live ball opportunity, and you can find a way to get on base and move the train along, great. I mean, a lot of players in that position, and I know, William, you can speak about this from experience because you've seen it. You maybe have a teammate or you've been that guy where, hey, it's end of the game, you're struggling and you're down a run or two, you want to go do a home run. When the best thing to do is just put the ball in play and just move the train along and, hope your teammate can bring you home.
Yeah, of would think that drawing that walk would have helped him coming into today, but struck out 3 more times. So I don't know. I agree on Christian Campbell. He looked great. There was that one play in left field, line drive, really hard hit ball. Most outfielders don't even get a glove on it. He reached out, gloved it, didn't make the catch, but the fact that he even got there, I thought was really impressive. He's playing left. He's playing second. There was rumors that he's going to get an extension, that him and the Red Sox are working on that extension, which I thought was interesting. Crochet and the Red Sox did not work out an extension before the season. So I think that's an interesting storyline to watch with the Red Sox throughout the season. Do they negotiate, or do they kind of hold those talks until after the season? I think Crochet has another year under contract, but I could be wrong on that. I don't think he's a free agent this year. But yeah, this is interesting. If these struggles continue for Devers, obviously his trade value is going to be in the tank. So, maybe some teams are going to have to do some talking or talking themselves into it. I still think the talent's there. Maybe it's just a piece of, hey, or a bit of, hey, like, this might not work out in Boston. Like, it just might be too strenuous. It's still very, very early, and I don't want to make that proclamation. But if the struggles continue into May, June, maybe it's like, hey, let's move on from this guy. Let's figure out how to build out this lineup without him in it, and get whatever we can for Devers. Still early. I'm not making that proclamation, like I said, but this is historically bad from him.
Like I said, I just think there's just a lot of moving parts in Boston. You have a lot of infielders and a lot of players, young players that they want to get through, and I just think it's just finding their roles. I think it's just going to be the growing pains that they're just going to have to go through April. And I think they have the talent to make a run. Like I truly do. I mean, a lot of fans are, oh yeah, they stink. Just that in the third, but I think they'll get it together. They have the right man at the head with Cora, World Series winner. I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine too. I still got him as a playoff team. Again, it's been one weekend, but concerning start, Red Sox fans are freaking out. I think let's pump the brakes.
Yeah,
get a win tomorrow. Take it day by day. If they went 1-4 in the middle of July, sure, people would be upset, but they wouldn't be freaking out like the world's falling or the sky's falling.
It's Boston too. It's one of the bigger markets. Like you can't get away going that historically bad start in a market like a Boston and New York. Now, if it happened like in a Tampa, like, yeah, people would bring up, but it's not that big of a deal like in Boston.
Yeah, so there is that additional pressure for sure.
Yeah, but let's talk about injuries before we talk about guys that two guys hitting and pitching caught our eye. But let's go with injuries right now. So first off, one of the first injuries I want to talk about is Colton Cowser, broken thumb. I mean, it happened the other night. The other day, I think it was yesterday, where he slid into first base and he broke his thumb out 6 to 8 weeks. It's a big loss, but I mean, the way Tyler O'Neill's hitting for the Orioles, is that big of a loss? And I mean, if there's a team to take an injury, it's the Orioles, maybe because of all their youth that they still have in the system.
Yeah, you also got Cedric Mullins, who's off to a hot start, but that is a tough loss. He was on my fantasy team, so sucks.
Interesting.
Sliding head first into first base. I don't know if that's a great idea.
Trying to make a play.
I know.
Can't blame him for that one. You got Josh Lowe, strained oblique. Zach Geloff, hamate surgery. Wenzel Perez, back inflammation. Freddie Freeman's day-to-day with the ankle. We spoke about Reynaldo Lopez with the shoulder inflammation. Jordan Montgomery's out for the season, getting a Tommy John surgery for Arizona. And then Scherzer has thumb inflammation. Any of those guys interest you right now? You want to harp on?
I mean, Mad Max, first start, already on the injured list. That sucks. The Blue Jays, you watched a lot of that Barrios start on Thursday. I think they're going to struggle in the rotation this year.
Yeah.
Them and Baltimore, I think, are really going to struggle just getting outs early in the game because the rotation is pretty weak. And now you lose Mad Max. That's tough. Verlander was okay in his debut, by the way. Same with DeGrom. DeGrom was good. I also think Montgomery was a crappy one because I don't think there was a role for him there in Arizona this year. But I was thinking, hey, maybe that's the guy that a team looking for starting pitching could target because it was no secret they were trying to trade him this offseason. But seems like that's not the case anymore because he's out for the season. So those are kind of the two that stood out for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's big losses. I mean, tough for the A's with Geloff, but I mean, I think the A's are going to be all right. I mean, the A's did face the Mariners, which is some of the best pitching in the game. I mean, very unlucky yesterday that they lost yesterday to a J-Rod 2-run homer. JP Sears had a great start yesterday, and then they won Saturday with Oswaldo Bido. Brian Miller was okay, struggled a little bit, but still had good stuff. Just didn't get enough runs. And so I definitely think the A's are a very interesting team. I will be tuning in to the A's Cubs tonight at 10 o'clock, which is going to be the first game up in Sacramento. So we'll be
Mhm.
watching that game. But
Did you see that the A's are doing their interview press
yeah,
conferences, whatever, in a shack?
yes, I did see that in a shed. It's it's minor league ballpark stuff. Just we talk about like the Rays. Like the Rays ballpark is weird. I know you liked it. We spoke about it off pod. I just thought it was just very weird. Kind of
I,
looks weird watching a game like that in Tampa.
yeah, for the Rays, I think it is a little weird playing in a minor league stadium, of course, but
Mhm.
I do think the Rays are meant to play outside. I know there's the rain and everything, but in Florida, it rains all the time, and it's going to be hot as hell in the summer. So hopefully, they have mostly night games that time of year. Haven't checked out their
Mhm.
schedule in June and July, but in August. But I don't know. I thought it was nice having the games outside. It's just better vibe than watching a game at Tropicana.
Yeah, I mean, Sacramento gets hot as well, but hey, I'm very interested to see how that game plays out. I actually think the A's are going to win the series versus the Cubs.
Okay.
I think they're going to win the set, and I think we're going to be talking about the Cubs next week when we come back on Sunday night and talk about the Cubs. We'll be sounding off the alarm bells up in Chicago. So
Okay. We'll see.
White, White Sox starting pitching looks good. The tarp sucked, so that's something to keep a note. MLB
Yeah.
failed on Thursday on opening day. Talk about it.
Yeah. MLB TV was down on Thursday. I got a credit from MLB basically saying sorry that it wasn't working. Here's a $10 gift card for ML or yeah, $10 gift card for any purchase of $25 or more to MLB shop. So we'll take it. I was trying to watch MLB TV on Thursday and it didn't work. I think it was down on Friday too. So that was kind of frustrating. Luckily, the Yankees were on national television, so I was able to watch that. But yeah, MLB, it's not a good look. People are trying to watch baseball. It's already blacked out. A lot of these games. I can't watch the Cubs. I can't watch the White Sox. People can't watch teams in their home market. Like you
Yeah,
got to get it right, especially on opening day. That's frustrating.
yeah. I mean, happens. Fantasy baseball. Can we talk about how Armand has made his way up to first place, top of the table? Like, how does that happen? He's like the White Sox, not the White Sox. Like, what is Armand MLB equivalent? He's like the Rays. Let's put it that way. He's the Tampa Bay Rays, and he's in first place. How does that happen?
Well, let's do a live update. He was first heading into today, but he's now third. You're first. So
Oh, thank you, Aaron Judge. I'd like to thank Aaron Judge, Christopher Sanchez, um, thank Eugenio Suarez. I have the two players of the week. Thank you so much. Armand talked a lot of smoke in the chat on Thursday that he was in first place. And he was like, "Oh, you're in last place, my friend." And I was like, "It's a long season." William was in last, and he made it up to Champions League positions by the end of the season. So 162. It's early. I'm not doing a victory lap for
I would
for
hope not. It's been 4 games.
so Armand was doing victory laps, like so. He was rounding first. So
He was, but we'll see. We'll see.
okay, I'll get a little quiet. Before we go, I know we're an hour and 9 minutes in. Um, give me a hitter and a pitcher that caught your eye.
All right. Hitter Papa Bichette.
Oh, that's a good one.
He had a good weekend. Yeah, he went 0 for 3 today against the Nationals, but opening day 0 for 4, but then he went 2 for 4, 4 for 4, and 1 for 3 against the Orioles. So he had a good weekend.
Talk about a player that's been hot. You know another guy that's my hitter of the week? Lars Nootbaar. I picked him up the other day, but I think he's a really, really big bright spot on the Cardinals. I think he's going to break out this year. pick the click this year. He's had a good weekend, hit a home run today, getting on
Okay.
base, hitting leadoff. I think he's had a very interesting weekend. Drew a couple walks. Very good weekend from him. Pitcher, who's your pitcher?
I mean, you know, I got to keep it to my guys. Ryan Pepio, great start against Colorado. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. And they won the game. Walk-off home run.
I'm going to pick Hunter Green. Did you watch his start the other day?
I did not. He was on opening day. I saw he had like, what, 8 strikeouts in 5 innings?
8 strikeouts in 5 innings. He had a great start. He was working changeup fastball was working. Him and Christopher Sanchez. I think that's going to be your Cy Young race. Like looking at them both of them look really good.
Wow.
Sanchez was locating the sinker inside. Was dotting it up, fastball inside too today. And I know Josh would be really happy with this. But changeup was electric. And I just feel like these pitchers are going to get better once it heats up too. Like a lot of rust is getting polished off. JP Sears had a good start as well. I liked him this weekend. I know I'm giving you more than one, but got to give your flowers out when necessary. So, yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll be back on Sunday night. We're coming back with week 1.5.
Yeah, Sunday night. Yankees got the Diamondbacks, and then they're going to Pittsburgh. So we'll talk about that. We're going to try to do Sunday nights consistently this year. Monday just had to do this week because I was not able to do Sunday. But yeah.
Okay. Keep it locked in sports. Make sure you follow us on X, Instagram, and keep it locked. Till next time, week 0.5 in the books. William, any closing words for week 0.5?
That's all I got. Yankees off to a great start. It's all you can ask for. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll be back, like we said, on Sunday. Until then, we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.